The old gods did not die. They withdrew. Before there were temples of marble and spires of glass, before iron-split mountains and oil-black rivers burned. They walked openly in wind and root and stone. They were the first breath in forests, the slow pulse beneath glacier, the bright vein of lightning through storm. They were the hush before snowfall and the roar beneath volcanoes. They were not worshipped so much as known. Humans once knew them. In the first dawns, when smoke from cooking fires curled like prayers without words, people placed their palms upon soil and felt it answer. They thanked the deer they hunted. They sang to seeds before pressing them into earth. They listened when the rivers rose in warning. The bond was not obedience, it was kinship. Mother Nature, though she had borne 1,000 names in 1,000 tongues, remembered those days. She had been called Hearth Mother, Green Weaver, Tidewomb, Storm Bride. Names were leaves, she was the tree. Now she stood at the edge of a city that never slept. From orbit, the planet glowed with electric constellations that mocked the stars. From within, the air tasted of metal and exhaust. Rivers ran straight as rulers, shackled in concrete. Forests were grids on spreadsheets. Mountains were percentages of extraction yield. She felt her children coughing. The coral reefs whispered in bleaching tongues. The bees staggered home to hives that would not last winter. The permafrost sighed, releasing ghosts of ancient breath. The oceans, once deep-throated singers, now murmured with plastic static. The old gods gathered in a place outside of time, where root and magma intertwined. There was the Sky Father, whose voice rolled like distant thunder. There was the deep mother of oceans, crowned with kelp and salt. There was the Stone Keeper, slow and deliberate as tectonic drift. There was the Flame Twin, who both warms and devours. And there were countless others, spirits of grove and gust, frost and fern. They did not speak in words. They spoke in seasons. Mother Nature showed them what she felt. She showed them forests cut to stubble, soil stripped and blown away like ash. She showed them children raised beneath fluorescent suns, who had never touched unpaved ground. She showed them species erased without ceremony. She showed them oceans swollen with heat, storms swollen with rage. But she also showed them small things. A woman planting milkweed in a city crack. A child weeping over a stranded whale. A farmer relearning crop rotation from forgotten ancestors. A village standing between a forest and the machines. The Sky Father rumbled. They have forgotten. The Stone Keeper shifted. They were always brief and hungry. The Ocean Mother surged. They choke me. The Flame Twin flickered. They feed me well. Mother Nature felt her vastness tremble. They are mine, she said, though her voice was wind through leaves and earthquake underfoot. They were born of my clay and water. They carry my iron in their blood. They learned to name the stars because I lifted their eyes. But they no longer listen, said the Sky Father. Then we must speak louder, answered the Flame Twin. Mother Nature hesitated. She had tried whispers, droughts gentle enough to warn, storms fierce enough to frighten, seasons skewed just enough to unsettle. Yet the cities grew. The drills dug deeper. The air thickened. They believe themselves separate, she said. They believe they stand above root and wing. The Stone Keeper replied, stone does not argue with moss. It simply endures until moss understands. But endurance had limits. The old gods watched a glacier carve into warming sea. They watched a forest burn not with the cleansing rhythm of natural flame, but with the fury of imbalance. They watched markets rise and fall while rivers ran dry. Mother Nature felt the weight of extinction pressing on her like a second sky. If the limb is gangrenous, murmured the Ocean Mother, do we not cut to save the body? The question rippled through root and reef. Mother Nature closed her many eyes. She saw possible futures branching like mycelial threads. In most, humanity multiplied and consumed, until collapse came chaotic and absolute. In some, humanity learned too late and perished almost entirely, dragging thousands of other species into oblivion. In very few, a remnant remembered. Not through conquest. Through humility. 99 of 100. The number settled like frost. It was not vengeance. It was triage. She wept, and her tears were rising seas. I will not erase them utterly, she said at last. But I will thin them. I will break the fever. The flame twin flared in anticipation. The Sky Father gathered storms into his lungs. The Stone Keeper loosened faults long held in check. The Ocean Mother coiled currents into new paths. Mother Nature did not command cruelty. She adjusted balance. Storm tracks shifted, crops failed in regions that had forgotten soil's limits. Coastal cities found the sea reclaiming borrowed ground. Pandemics leapt where wild boundaries had been shattered. Supply chains snapped like brittle twigs. It did not happen in a single apocalyptic hour. It unfolded like a long, terrible season. Nations fell not to invasion, but to drought. Economies collapsed not to war, but to scarcity. Power grids blinked out, concrete cracked. Vines crept in through windows. Billions perished. The old gods did not rejoice, they watched. Among the ruins, survivors gathered in smaller circles. They learned which plants could heal and which would kill. They followed migrating herds instead of satellite maps. They built with wood and stone and patience. They told children stories of the time of excess as cautionary myth. They listened when the wind changed. They planted more than they harvested. They left space for wolves. Mother Nature felt the fever break. Forests returned first, shy but determined. Rivers wandered again. Fish flickered in waters once dead. Skies cleared to reveal stars that had never left. The old gods did not step forward to be worshipped. They did not require altars. They required attention. Centuries later, a child knelt beside a stream and pressed her palm to damp earth. She felt a pulse there, faint but real. She did not have a grand name for it. She did not need one. She whispered, "Thank you." And the wind moved gently through the trees, like a mother exhaling at last. Thank you for listening to this story.